Okay, so it seems like we got more voice actor issues over at Hoyoverse. Now, this is slightly different to some of the other videos that we've done. Obviously, with a lot of the voice actor issues in Genshin Impact, it's mainly been the voice actors kind of crashing out over on Twitter, TikTok, whatever, pretty much having a pretty bad time, and the Hoyoverse community getting more and more angry at them. But this time, it's actually the other way around, with the castorice voice actor actually getting some flack or whatever for their character. Now, obviously, this is kind of crazy because, voice actors don't really choose what character, well, they can choose in the fact that they can deny or, say, yeah, I want to voice this character, but they don't really choose what goes on with in-game abilities and everything like that with the character. They don't choose every single nuance that goes on with the character, which for some reason some people believe, and they go on to start actually attacking them. And it seems like we've got a situation of this with the castorice voice actor, which has actually been uploaded on a short by Darkos88, which we'll quickly play through.
Castorice's global passive drama has become an urgent and serious matter. Now, voice actors are being targeted and threatened because of...
Now, first of all, I did try to look up this article so we could just cover it ourselves, but there was a big issue of the fact that this actually got taken down due to the request of the voice actor. Now, I won't really mention the voice actor's name or anything in this because obviously it seems like they don't want to get any hate. They don't want any kind of negativity to happen in the Honkai Star community, but I do think it's still a very important issue to talk about. No matter whether you think you're spreading negativity or not, it's still important to talk about this kind of thing because this is something that is so prevalent in the Hoyoverse community and it happens all the time. I think that saying, oh, let's take it down because I don't want to spread negativity, I feel like, it's just a bit weird. I feel like you should be able to voice your concerns, voice, some issues that are going on in the community. And, obviously this post got taken down. So let's see what Darkos had to say.
This issue. To respect their privacy, I will not mention their names to prevent further spread of negativity. In short, several voice actors have decided not to react to the 3.2 livestream and will not pull for castorice.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy, It seems like even the voice actors don't agree with this whole global passive thing going on at the moment. Now, if you don't know, a lot of this is to do with the global passive itself. The global passive with castorice has been a big issue for the past couple of weeks now. And obviously, there's been all this drama with Mr. Pokey, Tectone, everything like that of, are they going to be pulling for castorice? With a lot of people leaving the game, for example, like Gatrasmack left the game. He actually watched a VOD of the story and quit like halfway through, which was kind of crazy. And obviously, there's been a lot of other content creators quitting and just players quitting in general due to a lot of these changes and the fact that castorice is now, having this global passive which can affect the entire account, not just, whenever she's on the field, but literally everywhere, which is kind of crazy, and obviously a lot of people weren't happy with that, and it feels like, it could be a big kind of factor added into the game in the future, which, yeah, players aren't happy and they're choosing not to play it, including even the voice actors, which, again, it's really good to see because it means even the voice actors don't agree with this.
Choose not to get involved in this situation to avoid causing more trouble. Even before this, they had been constantly receiving annoying messages and threats related to the drama. This is truly unacceptable. Stop targeting those who are not to blame. Voice actors have no control over Hoyo's decisions because their role is just to bring a character to life through their voice. Threatening them is pointless, and spreading negativity will not solve anything. It is better to send complaints to Hoyo through surveys or email because that's the most effective way to make your voice heard.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the entire situation. So essentially what happened was, people were getting angry at the fact that castorice had a global passive, so they were sending them threats and annoying messages. But also I think they were receiving threats as well due to some of them actually not watching the live stream as well. I'm pretty sure that's what they also mentioned. But pretty much it's a lot of players just thinking that these voice actors have control over what is going on, They don't have control. They're not the developers. They're not the creators of the game. They don't have any kind of power whenever it comes to deciding a character's abilities. They don't have any power whenever it comes to deciding pretty much anything with the character and whatever goes on in game, maybe apart from a couple of voice line changes, but that's about it. And obviously, yeah, this voice actor has been receiving a lot of hate, and I'm sure a lot of other voice actors are going to receive hate in the future for future global passives, because let's be real, more global passives are going to come out in Honkai Star Rail. It's just inevitable. They saw how much castorice is going to sell this patch. They're just going to add more, and it's very, very obvious. But yeah, it seems like, they're receiving a lot of annoying messages and hate and threats, and due to this, now obviously people in the comments saying, I never understand why people's first inclination to something is they threaten people. Like, castorice's VA is doing a job. She's not responsible for the global passive thing. She's voicing a character, and that's it. I swear some folks need to find something better to do with their life, which, yeah, exactly. They say the fact that this isn't even castorice's VA makes it worse, as if it wasn't even bad enough already, which I don't really know. what that was about. They say missed opportunity for her to join with the stream. I feel bad for her. One of the best things to happen in this community ruined by annoying people harassing over a video game character. So it seems like there was a lot of people saying that this role had gotten ruined for a lot of people, and that maybe some like kind of positive interactions between voice actors got ruined due to this. Now, obviously, they say it shouldn't make it any better if it was Castorice's VA. They're just doing their job. So again, I feel like a lot of people are a bit confused on like who this is actually targeted at, but it definitely seems like it was targeted towards voice actors. Now, obviously, it seems like people are saying honorary Google Classroom. So yeah, I think, like, honestly, if you're a Honkai Star fan and you don't like the global passive, I do understand it, that it is a very, very bad, feature added to the game. But as Darko says here, there are other ways of actually spreading the fact that, you want this to change. Now, one of these ways, obviously, is the voice actors. What they've done, they've literally boycotted, and they've, not watched the stream. They've not pulled for castorice, and that's something that players can do too. And obviously players have been doing this for castorice because it sends a message to Hoyoverse. Also, another one which Darko's kind of mentioned in this short was the fact that they have feedback forums. Now, it's a kind of like controversial one, I'd say, because Hoyoverse doesn't really listen to feedback forums. We've seen this. Obviously, they did this for Genshin Impact, and people were outraged because they released a feedback thing, but we all know they don't listen. So it's one of those things of them like trying to say, hey, we're trying to listen. But in actual fact, they're not. They don't care, and everyone kind of saw through that. And that's the same fact of Honkai Star as well. They don't really listen to feedback forums that often, or any kind of feedback information. So I'd say the best way to actually do it is to not pull for castorice, is to kind of boycott this. Now, it might be a little bit late now, seeing as castorice has now come out, but that was one of the ways that people have suggested that this will work, because it hits Hoyoverse right where it hurts, which is, their wallets. Dway cannot afford another yacht if, you're not pulling for castorice. But I feel like it has been a bit of a failure, at least this time, due to the fact tons of people are pulling for castorice. And I'm going to say it, I pulled for castorice as well. I don't care. I didn't spend any money on castorice. I used all the pulls that were on my account. But the fact is, people want castorice so bad that, they're going to pull for it anyways, regardless of the global passive. Now, I don't really care too much in the fact that, it's like one of the biggest issues ever. Like, again, I feel like Honkai Star is just cooked for me already. Like, they've already just kind of made their bed, especially the story as well. I just can't keep up with the story. 8 hours is just way too long. But I still play it for a lot of the combat kind of aspects and things like that. And I'll still probably enjoy it as a kind of just side game and not really care about it too much. But, it's just kind of disappointing to see a lot of this stuff happening. But it's also, at the same time, obviously it's very disappointing that Hoyoverse is doing all of this stuff that is considered bad for the game. But it's also very disappointing that the community is also doing this kind of stuff towards the voice actors, which is also considered bad for the game, because it just creates this entire like negative kind of environment, like they were saying with the voice actor, and why they wanted to take this down. Because again, you got this negative side from the people attacking the voice actors, you got the negative side of Hoyoverse doing pretty much nothing, and then also slap bang in the middle, you got everything else going on with Hoyoverse, with the whole voice actor strikes, everything like that, which is going on, which is kind of crazy. And, it seems like there's been this whole kind of negative sphere that's been going on in the Hoyoverse community recently. But yeah, I just wanted to keep you guys up to date with what's going on. Obviously, this is a little bit of an older post, but I only actually came across it recently. And obviously now castorice has been out for a little bit of a while, and, she's been in more of some talking points. I definitely wanted to just, show you guys what is actually going on. Because I know, obviously the VA didn't want to be, making this more of a negative situation, but I don't think it is. I feel like this doesn't make it any more negative than it already is at the moment. And it's more just, shedding a little bit of light on what is going on, giving some opinions of what is going on, and hopefully, it does improve in the future. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And also, to game subs, use my code CASA, get 10% off, and I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.